What's up? It's been kind of a long time since I've seen you guys, or you've seen me, I guess. But today I'm gonna make a pretty important video, I guess. A lot of people have been wondering what's going on with me the past few months because I've been super sick and a lot of changes have happened recently. So I wanted to make a video pretty much about me being sick for the past 4 months and not getting any answers for it. I'm sorry if this video is all over the place. It's kind of a long story and there's a lot of pieces to it. So if I'm kind of jumping around, I'm sorry, just bear with me. What else? Oh yeah, I'm gonna be referencing my phone. I made like a list of some points that I want to make in the video. Some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is kind of graphic and probably hard for some people to listen to, so I just want to give you guys a fair warning about that. I'm just going to get into it. So, for those of you who don't know, I was taking a medicine called Lexapro. It's an anti-anxiety and depression medication, and I've pretty much struggled with being anxious and having depression my whole life since I was young. My mom and dad, I felt so bad, had to deal with me just being the most anxious child. I never wanted to stay away from home. When I got to high school, my parents decided and I decided that I should get on some antidepressants to help kind of balance my moods out and stuff. So I got on Lexapro. I was on a couple before Lexapro. I was on Zoloft and Exactolopram, a bunch of other stuff. So after I was on Lexapro, I got on like my sophomore year of college, and I decided that I wanted to get off around my senior year. I just really didn't like the medicine. It made me gain about 30 to 40 pounds, which was not my favorite thing about the medicine. It made me really tired. I never wanted to stop eating. I just always slept and laid around, and it seemed to make my depression almost worse at the end. So I wanted to talk to my psychiatrist and have him get me off the medication. So I called up there and made an appointment, and they're like, oh, you already have an appointment that's pre-scheduled for every 6 months. She gave me the date and the time in the office, and so I went, and he didn't show up, and I called and left a couple voicemails after that and asked if I could meet with him, because if I didn't meet with him, I wasn't allowed to get a refill of my Lexapro. And I'd been on it for 2 years at this point, and this is a medication. It's an SSRI, which means your body will go through withdrawal symptoms if you don't take it enough. And so I was getting kind of nervous. I was running really low on the medication, and he wasn't calling me back. I guess the business or the place wasn't emailing me back. And my mom even called and left voicemails, and I tried to schedule another appointment and they never got back to me. So I'm not trying to shade this place at all, but it was really unprofessional for them to not call me back, for my psychiatrist to not get back to me, because I needed a refill on this medication I'd been on for 2 years, and then he just didn't call, so whatever. Anyways, so I ended up going off my Lexapro cold turkey, and about 2 weeks after I did that, I began all of my really sick symptoms, I guess. So it started mid to end of August of 2018, and I started throwing up every day, and I was unable to eat and got really bad headaches, and I was really irritable. Those were my first symptoms, and everything kind of got progressively worse as time went on. So I began throwing up, and at first I thought I had the stomach flu, so I didn't do anything about it, and my mom did too. And after about a week or two of getting sick and not being able to keep almost anything down, even water, I said that, you know, I think I need to go to the emergency room and have them look at me, and so did my mom. So we went. So we went to the emergency room. They ran a bunch of tests, took my blood, stool, pee, all that stuff. I wasn't pregnant. I didn't have a virus. Like, I don't even know. I didn't have anything. They didn't see anything. My scans came back completely clear. And it was just really odd because I felt so incredibly sick, and I just didn't understand how there was nothing that was showing up on these scans. So they gave me some anti-nausea and some fluids to get my blood pressure up, and sent me home and said, we don't know what's going on. You're gonna have to go to a specialist and figure out what's going on. Things kind of started getting worse after they sent me home and told me that they didn't know what was wrong. And I was not really sure where to go next. They told me to go speak with a psychiatrist, and they told me that it was probably withdrawal from Lexapro medications and that I should just hang in there. And they gave me a couple different like withdrawal medications, Clonidine I think they gave me. They prescribed me so many different medications to help with acid reflux, anti-nausea medicines, like 3 or 4 different kinds. Nothing was helping, and it was just getting really discouraging for me. I started just having horrible anxiety attacks, and I was getting really depressed all the time. And I honestly thought that I was going to have to drop out of the semester of school because I started missing class all the time. The majority of when I was getting sick was in the morning, so I would be woken up every single day around 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I would just uncontrollably be throwing up for hours. And I have class in the morning, so obviously I'm still getting sick during that time, or I'm so exhausted after getting sick for hours that I'm just like, I need to lay in bed. I feel like crap. So I started missing so much class, and at my school attendance is pretty important, so I had to go register with the Office of Accessibility at my school so that my absences wouldn't be counted against my grade, and just so I can get a little bit extra help this semester because I did want to keep doing school even though it was just kicking my ass. Anyways, so things started getting worse. I got even more irritable and I cried all the time. It was just probably the worst I've ever felt mentally, and being sick and just feeling so horrible all the time seemed to only amplify me being anxious and depressed, especially while trying to juggle school. I felt really stressed out. I have an apartment in my school's town, and I just really couldn't even be there. Every little sound, smell, everything just annoyed me, and it wasn't even like my roommate's fault or anything, but like getting off of the Lexapro and stuff, the withdrawal symptoms mentally, and you know, just all of your hormones are completely messed up. So I was just really over the top irritable, and I decided it would be best if I just went home and was with my family, especially since I was sick and struggling and really anxious and depressed. So I pretty much moved home, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I honestly woke up every morning and felt like I was going to die. I honestly thought that there was no way this was ever going to end because people kept telling me it will be over soon, they're going to figure it out, and I just kept going to my doctor and they kept running tests and nothing showed up, and I went to the ER 2 different times and they found nothing, and I just felt like I was one of those cases that they were just going to keep sending me from doctor to doctor and they were never going to figure anything out. Excuse me. So after about 2 or 3 months, I notice, and my mom starts to notice, that I've lost a lot of weight. So at this point I'd probably lost about 20 pounds in the span of like 2 months, and it was because I wasn't able to eat and I was throwing up so much. And then after I started losing all that weight, I started getting even more symptoms. So I have a list here of all the symptoms that I started going through after I started losing all the weight, I guess. And this was like a couple months in, and I don't know, I thought it was the Lexapro withdrawal, so I figured that it would end, and it still didn't. So that's when they thought, oh, it could probably be your gallbladder, your stomach, intestines, something else. But before that, okay, my symptoms were, I felt like my whole body was going numb, I would lose feeling, I was throwing up every day with extreme anxiety and depression, I lost so much sleep, I never slept. I was nauseous 24/7, I had horrible stomach cramping, and it would just have me laying in bed crying because it hurt so bad. I was either having diarrhea or constipated, sorry that's TMI. I would have really bad headaches, like a muscle tension headache all over. My stomach would burn really bad if I walked or did too much exercise, and it would make my symptoms worse if I was too active. And then I would feel like I was going to pass out a lot, like my eyes would black out, my ears would get, like I would lose my hearing a little bit, and I don't, like my whole body would just kind of go numb. So I figured that most of these symptoms were because I wasn't able to eat and I was lacking nutrients, obviously. So I kind of just wrote it off, and I was really tired of going to doctors. At about the point of 3 months, I was just getting really sassy. I'm sorry to all the doctors that I was probably sassy to, but it was really frustrating for me to go to every doctor and seriously have doctors look at me and say, I don't know what to do. Maybe try going to a GI specialist, try going to an OBGYN, a neurologist. And it was just, every time I went to the doctor, it seemed like they were pawning me off on a different person. And like they wanted to help, but they just didn't know what to do because my scans and all my blood work came up clear. So that was really hard for me. It just made me even more depressed and anxious because I really just wanted a solution. I felt like every time they prescribed me a different medication, that I was like, this is going to be the one that works. This is going to be the one that makes me better, and I'm going to go back to normal, and I'm going to be able to eat and go to class and sleep and just do my normal life. And this was at about 3 months of me going through all of this. So if you can imagine throwing up every single day, having horrible headaches, being irritable, losing all this weight, just my whole body hurt, and my stomach just was in so much pain. I don't even know how to describe how horrible it was, but I honestly probably cried at least 4 or 5 hours a day because of how sad and miserable and horrible that I felt. And I thank my parents so much for putting up with me ranting and crying and being so upset. I started going to like counseling a lot more, which was helpful, and I leaned on my parents a lot, and they were super nice and said that, you know, if you can't work, you don't need to work, we'll help you pay for stuff as long as, you know, you're still doing good in school or whatever. So they have been really generous in letting me move back in a little bit with them, taking care of me, taking me to the doctor's appointments, listening to me rant and cry. They've just been amazing, so I just want to say that. Thank you to my parents. You guys are godsends, and I love you so much. So after a couple months, let me get back to this, the doctors were like, you know, maybe we should run some other tests and do a scope. So they did a scope, and this was like a couple weeks ago. And they put me to sleep, put the scope down into my stomach. They found a hernia in my stomach and a couple spots they want to biopsy. And I haven't heard anything back, so either they didn't find anything or they just still haven't gotten results back yet. So they don't know if the hernia is what's causing me to be sick or if that was just from all the throwing up, because I was throwing up so much that I was throwing up blood. And it wasn't just a little bit, towards the end it was a lot. At first it was just kind of a little bit, but then at the end I was actually scared of how much blood that I was throwing up every day, and it was making my throat hurt so incredibly bad, and my stomach just felt so like really sore from just constantly contracting to throw up so much. So it was a great 4 months of my life, if that tells you anything. I really secluded myself because I was really irritable, especially like getting off the medication and being sick. I was irritable, very. So I really didn't want to hang out with friends or even be around my family that much. I just wanted to be alone and by myself because that's when I felt the least annoyed. Even though I felt lonely, I just wanted to be alone. I don't really know if anyone understands what I'm talking about, but I wanted people around, but I didn't. I ended up getting a new psychiatrist to kind of wrap this all up, and she's been really great. So I went in and she pretty much said that she didn't think it was the Lexapro withdrawal anymore and that it was probably something else, but she wanted to get me back on an SSRI medication to see if that would level out the hormones and the serotonin in my brain and get my body back to normal. So instead of Lexapro, I said, hell no, I'm not going back on that shit ever again. Don't put me on that. That was horrible. That medication is poison. So I had her put me on Prozac, which has worked pretty well for people in my family who have also had anxiety and depression. So I got on a pretty low dose, and a couple weeks later I have been getting a little bit better. I've been able to eat more, and I haven't gained any weight back that I lost. I lost 30 pounds. I went from being 181 pounds to 150 pounds. So that's pretty significant for me. And it really was, as soon as I stopped that medication, I just dropped all the weight. And so pretty much what I think is that my body needed an SSRI medication. I think the past 4 months was my body unable to adjust to not being on an anti-anxiety or antidepressant that has an SSRI in it. Because I have been on an SSRI medication since I was about 14 or 15, and then I went cold turkey off of one So, you know, my body just kind of went crazy. So after about a couple weeks of being on the Prozac, I started to get better, you know. So that's what I'm pretty sure my sickness was related to. Even though I just felt like after the first few months there was no way that it could be that. My doctor was like, there's no way it can be the withdrawal from the medication because it's out of your system by now. There's no way that you are still going through the withdrawal. It has to be something else. So they kept running tests, but they weren't finding anything. And now I'm starting to get better now that I've been on another SSRI medication like Lexapro, but not that. So I don't want to sit here and bash on Lexapro, but I didn't like it for me personally, and I would not recommend it to other people. If you desperately need to be on a medication to help level yourself out, then go ahead and do so. I'm not against it. I'm not advising you not to. But just go through the symptoms and the side effects and everything about the medication with your doctor and figure out what's going to work best for you, because Lexapro was not it for me. And I think that this would have been a lot better if I was weaned off of the medication instead of just going off of it cold turkey. Again, I don't want to bash the psychiatrist that I was going to before, but he did let me go off the medication, and I'm pretty sure that's why all of this started and why I was undiagnosed for 4 months. So that's been the last 4 months of my life. School has been really hard. It's my senior year, so it's been really sad for me to just be sick for my first semester of senior year. I haven't really been going out or doing anything fun because I've been sick, and I'm really hoping that now I'm feeling a little bit better that I can start being a little bit more fun and getting back to my normal life a little bit, because I have missed being happy and having fun and going out and being around my friends and family and being in a good mood and not throwing up all the time. So it has been a few days since I've last gotten sick, and I'm getting back on kind of a normal eating schedule. So I'm feeling way happier mentally, physically, just all around. I'm feeling pretty good. So yeah, I just want to recap, I guess, or sum everything up by saying I do believe that medications can be helpful if you desperately need them, but I wouldn't put myself, like looking back, I don't think I would put myself on a medication if I knew what it was going to do to me in the future. And of course, I'm sure I wouldn't have had symptoms if I was weaned off the medication or whatever, but my body did not react well with whatever was going on, and it really screwed me up for months, and it completely flipped my life upside down, and it freaked me out. And I just want to tell everyone my story, I guess, because I read a lot of stories online about people also going through something similar to this, and doctors really don't know anything about the stuff or the symptoms that I was experiencing. So yeah, I'm starting to feel a lot better, and I'm so thankful for all of the people that have been there for me over the past few months and have pushed me and encouraged me and looked out for me when I was just having a really hard time and didn't even know if I was going to wake up the next day because I felt so horrible in every aspect. So I just want to say thank you, and I love all of you that have been there for me, because I don't know if I would have made it through that time without the support and the love that I was getting. So I just want to say that it's kind of weird to put out there that I struggle with anxiety and depression so badly, and that those mental illnesses are initially kind of what caused my sickness, because I would have never gotten on an SSRI medication if I wasn't struggling. But it's okay to be anxious and depressed. It's normal. More than 40 million people have anxiety and depression, and I wouldn't turn to medicine as a first resort. I think that you should turn to maybe therapy, counseling, and get to the root of your problem. I think that's the most important thing, and the way that you're going to find the most peace and healing in your life. I know that's kind of hard. For some people, you need medication to help a little bit, so I understand that. But I think that there are other options you should look into first before getting on a medication, because it can really mess up your body. So I really encourage you guys, if you're struggling, to seek a counselor or a friend or somebody that you can talk to and work out your problems with, or just, you know, get some stuff off your chest. You know, if you're really feeling suicidal, call the suicide hotline. There's multiple resources. BetterHelp online is an online counseling service. You can just chat with someone online if you don't want to go in and meet face to face. But this experience has changed my life in so many ways. I just want to let you guys know that it's okay to struggle with anxiety and depression, and if you need help, please reach out, because if I wouldn't have reached out and asked for help, then I don't know if I would still be here. So I think it's really important that we kind of debunk the stigma behind kind of, you know, covering up our anxiety and depression and our mental illnesses, because our society wants us to all seem happy and like nothing's wrong. But if you are struggling, please get help. Reach out to me if you want to talk or get more information and a deeper look into what I've been through. Or if you just need someone to talk to, I'm always open to talk to you guys. I just really wanted to share my story because I think it's really interesting, and I do think that this experience has made me a stronger person, and yeah, I just feel like I've learned a lot from this, and like I'm looking at life with a different outlook, because I was so sick for so long, and there are people out there that were going through what I was going through, but with cancer, and they knew that they were going to die, and I just couldn't imagine if I would have gone in and they would have found cancer or something, and it would have just changed my whole life. So, ooh, I don't want to cry. But I'm so thankful that in the end it was just a medication issue, and I just needed to get my hormones and my serotonin levels evened out again. I'm really glad that God was looking out for me and there wasn't anything seriously. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching, and thank you for being so supportive. And I'm not thankful for going through this experience, but I am thankful for what it's taught me, and it's taught me to be strong, and it's taught me to ask for help when I need it, and it's taught me that no matter how low I get, no matter how horrible and how much I just want to run away from my life or to just end it, that I'm strong enough to overcome that and to move past it. And there are other ways that I can manage what I'm going through. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that it was kind of a heavy topic, but I really wanted to make this video because this has been such a life-changing past 4 months, and I don't even know what to say. I feel like a different person completely now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you for all the love and support you've given me throughout the past couple months. I've really needed it. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!